So happy Monday. I'm having a great day today. A great start to the week. I woke up early, had my breakfast, got ready for the day. I threw together an impromptu unboxing of the Afterlight box by Illumicrate, which was actually, I really liked it, and I've already edited my vlog from last week. So we are getting off to a great start, and I'm really excited for the books I'm going to be reading in this week's vlog. I think it's exactly what I need. I think it's going to soothe my soul and help me out a little bit after having a bit of a rough week last week, both reading wise and mental health wise. So in this week's vlog, we are going to be reading some hyped fantasy romance, and we are going to be kicking it off with the one on my Bookopoly TBR, which is A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. So this is on my Bookopoly TBR to read a fantasy romance, and it is a standalone high fantasy romance within the Married to Magic series, which is a series of standalones. I think the second book's just come out, which is a something with the Fey Rogue, and also the title of, it's in the back of this actually, isn't it? A Dance with the Fey Rogue. And then the third book, the title has just been released, which is something to do with a vampire lord. So I'm really hoping that I enjoy this series. It's a bit of a Hades and Persephone retelling as well, I believe. And all I know about it is that we are following a human girl called Luella, who is the healer, or she works in like an apothecary in this town that is very close to something called the Fade, which means that the town is like slightly imbued by magic, and the lifespans of the human in this town are quite long. However, there's something called the weakness that is causing people to die earlier than they should. This all ties in to a human queen, and the elves come down to the human town every so often and they pick a human queen, and when that human queen dies, the elf king comes back and picks another one, and I'm assuming that Luella is going to be the one that is picked to be the next human queen. And all of this human queen stuff has something to do with the magic and why the magic isn't quite working as it should. So I'm one chapter into this, which is only 10 pages, but it's already started off in a way that I didn't expect, in that the main character Luella is actually in love with her childhood best friend. Now I'm assuming that it's not going to be a romance between those two, because she's going to go off and marry the elf king. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. It isn't too long, it's 317 pages, and as I mentioned, it is a self-contained story. It's a standalone, and I know I'm gonna get a happily ever after out of this as well. So I'm gonna be cracking on with this a little bit later today. I have Patreon sprints tonight with Steph from Steph Loves and Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction, and I'm hoping to whiz through a big chunk of this. But for now, I still have things to be cracking on with. I have thumbnails to make, videos to proof, and I'm also gonna spend my afternoon cleaning. Okay, so we're working with a little bit of a weird angle right now, but this shirt arrived yesterday and I'm really into it. Like, check shirts and flannel being back in fashion. Honestly, I am living for it. However, I am kind of mad because I used to wear check shirts and flannels when I was a teenager and they went out of fashion. I only had a few, but I got rid of them. And then my best friend messaged me about a year and a half ago and said, I'm getting rid of all my check shirts, do you want any? And I said no. And now I have major regrets, but I am in love with this one. It is an oversized one, and I went and got my nails done today. So this is my fresh set. We have a red one on this side as well, and I was really feeling myself when I woke up this morning, so I am in like a full real human's wardrobe. We have jeans, I'm wearing something with a waistband, and like I put eyeliner on just to go and get my nails done. And then I went to the shop afterwards because I needed to get cat food. And that is what I got dressed up for today. I mean, it's not dressed up, but I'm wearing something with like a waistband that isn't elasticated. I feel like we need to commemorate this as the event that it is. So in other news, ow, sorry, just having issues with that waistband that I was talking about. I am almost halfway through A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. And I have to say, it's not grabbing me so far. So we're following this young woman called Luella, who is a human girl who lives in this town that's like adjacent to the place where the elves live, and every like 100 years the elf king comes and claims a human bride, and she brings life back into the world. So it's been a year period without a human queen, and so the world is starting to die. Magic is going a little bit weird, and the elven lands are completely barren. Luella is in love with her childhood best friend, who has actually been masking the fact that she is indeed the human queen by giving her a token that has hid her magical abilities from detection. So the elf king comes to visit one day Day finds out that Luella is the human queen. It takes her back to the Elven lands to be married. But Luella is a healer and she has patience and she works in an apothecary and she enjoys doing things. And so she's really not adjusting to this life of captivity at all, while the Elven king is like feeling the burden of his position and all of the things that he needs to do to stabilize magic and make sure that everything's like chill. And he's also very cold towards her, so it's like a hate to love kind of situation. And it is also a bit of a slow burn. Like, I'm halfway through and nothing's happened so far. And I do love slow burns, but I like to feel the tension between the characters and I'm not really feeling it. And my other issue with this is that it's a bit spoon feedy and info dumpy with the fantasy element. So Luella, like the way that the elves live is quite hidden from the humans. Like, they don't really talk about it too much. So normally the human queen would have spent 3 years with the keepers to learn about all of the customs of the world and about the magic and all of that kind of stuff. But Luella has not had this because she was hidden for so long, and so she goes into the elven world completely unaware, and she is talking to like her guard and also the healers who are at this palace and learning through them, but it's all really happening in conversation. And then something that's really bugging me is that Luella will repeat a line. So I don't know, I'm just pulling this out of thin air, it's not from the book, but a guy will say the magic comes from the water and Luella will say, right, so the magic comes from the water. And I'm like, you don't need to repeat it. I get it. I get it. So that is bugging me. And yeah, the writing is okay aside from the spoon feeding. Characters, okay, not really gelling with either of them right now. Romance, okay, doesn't really exist at this point, but I'm hoping when like the romance and stuff starts to pick up that I will enjoy it a little bit more, because I was really excited about this and I really want to love it, and the cover is beautiful, but so far it's just kind of like average. So I've had a day after my nail appointment and I got my brows done as well. I came home and started packing orders, and I only just finished how long ago? Maybe 20 minutes ago, but I was also trying to proof my vlog and get it up for 6. I finished sorting that out at 2 minutes to 6. So I got that done in the nick of time and it's now 10 past 6. So I just feel like I haven't stopped today and I've always been switched on. And then I'm supposed to be working out tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna get time now, which is absolutely fine because I can take a rest day. It's cool. I don't want to, but I can. And I have the Buffy watch along at 8 o'clock. And what was on my nose? I don't know, but I hope you guys haven't been able to see it the entire time it was there. I have the Buffy watch along with my patrons at 8 p.m, which will go until like 10:45. And I want to make a decent dent in this, and I need to shower and wash my hair because I'm filming at least one video tomorrow, which will be my haul, but also possibly my Bookopoly TBR, so I need to wash my hair. So essentially too many things, too little time, and I don't think I'm going to be able to work out today, but it's Polathon this weekend. So I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, so I wanted to take my second rest day of the week on like Saturday so I can maximize reading. But I don't know. I guess we're going to see how it goes. But today has just like really gotten away from me. Good morning. I know that I'm wearing the same clothes that I was wearing 2 days ago. It's just the shirt. I am so obsessed. It's so cozy. It's so warm and I want to live in it. I may order some more check shirts now. I forgot how much I love them. I feel 17 again. It's rejuvenating, guys. But it is early. It's 9:23 a.m. I've been up since 8:30. I have gotten up, I can't remember what time I got up on Monday, but every day this week, aside from maybe Monday, where I still think I got up at about 9 a.m. I've been awake before 9 a.m. every single day. I don't know what's happened to me, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I get up early, I get a ton of shit done, and I'm going to sleep at like 12:15, which is early for me. I'm normally tossing and turning at like 1:30 a.m. The one problem with getting up so early though is that I can't adjust my work schedule. Do you know how you fall into patterns? So like I'm used to working till 6 p.m, 6 p.m, sometime in between there. Whenever I come to the end of my activity or it hits 6 p.m. is when I start working. So in my mind, my work day ends at 6. Now normally if I'm getting up at 9:30, 10 a.m, I'm starting work at like 10:30, 11 a.m, and then working through till 6. But if I'm getting up at like 8:30, 7:30, I'm starting work at like 9 a.m. Like it's 20 past 9, I'm about to start, which means I'm just adding more hours onto my work day and taking away hours from my free time in my day. So I need to kind of adjust so that if I wake up earlier and I start working earlier, I'm actually finishing work earlier. But for some reason this week just feels real busy. It's Thursday, I got a ton of stuff I haven't done. I'm gonna proof my video for today in a minute. Curtis's mum is coming to visit today, so I won't be packing orders because I take over the kitchen when I do that. So I think I'm going to make up a few candles. Don't think we're doing a restock tomorrow. I think I'm going to save it for next week because it's the fall release next Friday, so it's going to be a big one, and I'll restock all of the Bookathon stuff then as well. It's going to be a mad week, and I'm going to order some stock because I have some upcoming things, some collabs with some different events, seasonal releases and all of that stuff, and there's a particular fragrance oil I want, so I need to order some samples, see if I can get it from the UK or import it from the US because I'm desperate for it. So I think I'm going to do a whole ton of admin-y stuff today. Might edit my Bookopoly TBR, which I filmed yesterday as well, but that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to give you the down low on what I'm doing. I finished a deal with the Elf King last night, just before I went to sleep. I was so tired. I was gonna update you, but I was so tired I just like passed the fuck out. Completely surprised by this. I gave it a low 3 stars. I actually thought it may be a 2, but it did just come in at a very low 3 stars. So the reason why is I didn't necessarily dislike anything about this. The only one thing I could say that I can purposefully highlight and be like, I didn't like this too much, is what I said about the information being a little bit spoon-feedy throughout the beginning. But aside from that, I just thought that this was really bland. I did not connect to the characters. The Elf King, I mean, he was reasonably hot, but I wasn't that into him. I didn't feel much chemistry between the characters. Like, it just felt very much like the author is telling me that they're in love and telling me that all these things are high stakes, but I wasn't really feeling it. There was no emotional connection between me and this book, which I definitely think is crucial for me in a romance. The plot was fine, was resolved fine. I didn't care about it. I did like some of the side characters. One of the things I did like about this is that there was an animal companion, and I really liked that element. And I think that's about all I can really say. It was okay, but it was just okay. Like, it didn't blow me away. I didn't feel anything while I was reading this, and I thought I was gonna really love this because not only is it a fantasy romance, which you guys know I'm real into, but it is a fairy romance. It's an elven romance, but fairies and elves are pretty much the same things in different folklores, even though in this universe I do think they're quite different. And it's interesting actually that this both has elves and fae, so I'm interested to see what the fae one's like if I pick it up now. But I expected to love this. It's kind of like reminded me a lot of an Enchantment of Ravens, but I really like an Enchantment of Ravens, and this I just was not feeling at all. So I'm really disappointed by that. I truly did think that I was gonna love this and it would get at least 12 stars, but sadly it was not to be. And this one was a gift from Jenna for Christmas as well, so thank you very much, Jenna, for sending this to me. I love the covers on this series, and I may pick up the fae one because it might just be a case of like some of them hit right with me and some of them just don't hit the spot, you know. But that one's done. Took me longer than expected, and I think it is because I really dragged my feet on it. I had no desire to pick that book up at all, which is very unusual for me with fantasy romance. And I also was really struggling not to DNF through that last 100 pages I was reading last night. Oh, I should probably say this one was on my Bookopoly TBR to read a fantasy romance. And the next one I'm picking up is Guild by Raven Kennedy. So this one has a really ambiguous synopsis. I'm gonna read it to you because it'll take me all of 2 seconds. Gold floors, gold walls, gold furniture, gold clothes. In King Midas's castle built at the top of the frozen mountains, everything is made of gold, even me. The myth of King Midas reimagined shows the dark side of greed through the eyes of the woman he gold touched. This compelling adult fantasy series is as addictive as it is unexpected. With romance, intrigue and danger, the gilded world of Aria will grip you from the very first page. So it does not tell me anything about what this is aside from a King Midas retelling and the woman is made out of gold. But I have heard some good things about this, but not this one specifically. Kelsey, actually, who is the author of Fortuna Swan, told me to read this and said that I'm going to want the next 2 books on hand, so I think that this might end with a cliffhanger. And I've heard that the next 2 books in this series are really good. I was going to try and read the whole series in a week as one of those videos that I was going to say I've been doing. I've done one in the past, but the last book isn't out yet. It's not out till last year, so I'm just going to go on with book 1 at the minute. And I have read the first 4 lines and it already seems like it's going to be a little bit dark, and I'm expecting good things. And this one was a gift from Stacey, so thank you very much, Stacey, for gifting this to me. But yeah, I'm going to sink right into this tonight, and I'm hoping I enjoy this one because fantasy romance I normally fly through. I normally eat that shit up, and deal with the Elf King was not a good start to this vlog. So that being said, I'm gonna go crack on. I have my lemon and honey that I've been drinking every morning now. I've cut out caffeine. When I say I've cut out caffeine, I haven't. I cut out coffee and replaced it with lemon and honey tea. Who am I, guys? Honestly, who am I? But yeah, I'm gonna sip on this while I proof my book haul that's going up later today. Good afternoon. I have had a day. Actually, no, I have had a week, and I am now at the point where I have pretty much just finished work for the week. I've sorted everything so that I don't really have to work this weekend. Although something that I didn't have time to do was schedule my Bookopoly TBR, so I'll probably do that tomorrow or Sunday. But I've worked 47 hours this week. For some reason, I've actually managed to keep track, and I am exhausted. I am the kind of exhausted where the slightest inconvenience is going to make me burst out into tears. So that's where I'm at. I have a Waterstones order that arrived today. I'm not sure what's in this because I ordered 2 things and I don't know if they're both in here, but we'll have to see, or we won't, because these things just never work out for me. I'm gonna try the other side. I just want a nap. I don't want to struggle. There we go. So, oh, just one in here. And the book I ordered is Heartforger by Rin Chebeko. So this is the sequel to The Bone Witch. The Bone Witch, which I have not read yet. It is my Patreon pick for last month. I think this is the chunkiest book in the series. I was a little bit concerned by how thick this was. But yeah, just as I thought, it is just over 500 pages at 526. So a little bit of a chunky one. But this is the second book in a YA fantasy series that follows a girl called T. Yeah, she's called T, and she is a necromancer, and her family or her community find out that she has this forbidden magic when she resurrects her dead brother. And then there's also some like dark forces mentioned in the plot of the first book. But might as well let you guys know now, this is on my September Bookopoly TBR for the prompt Monsters, and I'm going to be reading the entire series in a week, which will be next week. So Bone Witch is kind of like, it's my Patreon pick for last month. I rolled it over to this month. Technically going to be reading it. I'll probably finish it at the beginning of September, unless I can blast it out in 2 days, which fingers crossed I can. I haven't even sampled the text in this book. I'm kind of assuming that I'm going to be able to do this, and I'm not actually 100% sure. But it's smaller than Ember in the Ashes, right? Because there's only 3 books, so I'm using it as like a transition period to get me from my August TBR to my September TBR, and I've worked everything out. It worked out really well, and that is going to be my aim for next week. If you guys are interested in my thoughts on that series, I have ordered book 3 as well, which is why I didn't know whether only one or both of them were going to turn up, but hopefully book 3 will turn up before I need it next week. So I have actually made quite a bit of progress in Guild by Raven Kennedy. I just feel like I have not had enough time to breathe this week, and I haven't even managed to get everything done. I'm not doing a candle restart this week because I haven't managed to get everything done, and I don't understand how I could have worked so many hours and not managed to complete every single thing that's in my weekly schedule. I don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with this week. But I made it 110 pages into Guild. I didn't read this for very long at all. It is a very fast book. I am actually really enjoying it. So I have heard that the 2 later books that have been published in this series, there will be 4 in total, I think, but I've heard that books 2 and 3 are better than this one, and that this is kind of uneventful, but I'm enjoying it so far. So it is a dark fantasy romance, and we are following a girl called Auron, who is King Midas's favored. So these 2 seem to have a little bit of history. Content warnings in here for child trafficking, because Auron was captured when she was a child and taken by traffickers, and it seems like Midas was the one to save her from that before he became the king of this land. So now he's the king and she's the king's favored, and he actually gold touched her, so she is golden in color but not solid gold, and he keeps her in a cage in the palace. He treats her terribly. He has a harem and he has a wife, and I'm so confused but also really intrigued, because I'm wondering how this is going to be a romance, because I'm assuming it's going to be with Midas when he has a harem, and like the first chapter of this book is an orgy, and then he also has a wife. So like normally when I go into a romance, I can kind of see, like, even if it's enemies to lovers, it's kind of like, oh yeah, she's gonna find out that he has hidden depths. But Auron has been the king's favored for 10 years now, since before he was a king, and he treats her like shit. But dark romance, definitely. Themes of sexual assault, although not within the romance, whatever the romance may be, and child trafficking. So it is dark, very adult, explicit in what I've seen so far, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to continue. So I'm hoping that I can actually finish this tonight, but I still have to go through my website and hide all of the things that are sold out, and have dinner, work out, and I have the Buffy watch along tonight. So we'll see what I can do, but I am actually really enjoying this book, and when I'm actually making time to read, I'm getting through it at a decent pace. Ronaldo.
Viva Ronaldo.
When you're gonna pick up, call too many times, text back saying sorry I'm drunk, why do I even try, argue in circles for hours, cause what else can we do? Seemed so sweet when it started, but now it's overgrown. I break my back trying to fix this and still end up alone. But I'll keep trying and trying till it splits me in two. 'Cause I don't think we're working out with every sad attempt. You break it off, I'll break down.
Hello. So I pretty much ghosted you guys over the weekend, but I was participating in the 36-hour pull-a-thon meltdown, which I have made a separate vlog for that you guys will see on Sunday. So you'll see where I've been over this weekend, what I've been up to. But last night, it's now Monday morning, and last night I finished Guild by Raven Kennedy, and I am obsessed. I've heard many people say that this is like a prequel, a really long prequel to the rest of the series, and let me tell you, if it is, that bodes really well, because I absolutely adored this. Yes, the pacing is slow in terms of like what you would expect from a fantasy romance, especially like an indie published fantasy romance, and it definitely doesn't have like a self-contained romance plot like some of the fantasy romance I've read, like Rhapsodic has like a romantic arc within it, because at the end of this I am still confused about whether the love interest is Midas. I still have no idea. There's also the introduction of another character in here that I'm really intrigued about that could end up as a love interest, so I'm really excited to read more from the series. And in the grand scheme of books that I read, this isn't all that slow paced, because I read a lot of chunky fantasy which has ridiculously slow pacing, so I just flew through this and I thoroughly loved it. Now the only thing that I'm sad about at this point is that I don't have one of these books on my September TBR, because I hadn't read book 1 when I planned my September TBR. Actually, I did have the sequel in for one of the prompts and I switched it out last minute, and now I'm kicking myself about it. Content warnings in here, we do have the child trafficking and sexual assaults, as I have already mentioned, but it is worth noting that in terms of the sexual assault, there is a graphic depiction of rape on the page in this book, so do please be cautious of that if you are thinking of picking it up. But I did not expect this going into this. Like I said, the synopsis doesn't give much away, and I think that it's going to be a much more well fleshed out high fantasy plot line throughout here than I expected. The plot twist that came throughout the last 100 pages, I was shocked by a couple of them, and I'm now rethinking the whole, I can't really say much because the plot twist, with me not knowing much about this and having a very vague synopsis, completely came out of left field. But there are some elements in here that you guys know that I really like in romance, or just books in general, that were introduced that I wasn't expecting, and I'm rethinking the whole retelling element of this now as well. So blown away by this. I really just wasn't expecting it. If you'd have asked me which one of these I thought I would prefer, I would definitely have said A Deal with the Elf King, and this almost got 2 stars, was really not a fan. This one on the other hand got 4 stars, and the reason for that is that while it's not necessarily slow paced, it very much feels like an introduction to the story, but I definitely feel like it's only onwards and upwards from here. I'm also really thrilled that I love this, because I've read 11 books in August and I have actually only enjoyed 4 of them. The other 5 have got 3 stars or less, and at least 2 of the 3 stars I can think on the top of my head were very nearly a 2. They only just scraped a 3. So not a great reading month, which explains why I've been feeling slumpy, and then the more that I read that I don't enjoy, the less I want to read. So I'm glad that I read Guild, as that has rejuvenated my reading a little bit, which is great because we're going into September, which is the Bookathon, so I obviously need to be reading quite a bit. But yeah, this week's vlog did not go as planned. I had a very busy work week, which left me just honestly feeling quite exhausted and drained, and I wanted to read one more book, which I definitely could have done if I wasn't so busy with work, but sadly we just did not get around to it. So we're at the end of this week's vlog. Next week I am going to be reading, hopefully, fingers crossed if I can do it, the entire Bone Witch series by Becca, so please do stay tuned for that if you are interested. And we're going to be segueing from my August TBR into my September one for the start of the Bookopoly-thon, which I really do need to bring my reading mojo for. So that brings us to the end of this week's vlog, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed it if you've made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.